Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Sonic Adventure DX-ish. In the last part we started off Amy's campaign and now it's time for a lot of cutscenes.
Where do you think you're going, Amy?
Eggman, no!
You can't get away this easily.
Sonic, help!
Too late, buddy!
Birdie! It's a Chaos Emerald! What?
I don't need you when I've got this. Gamma!
At your service, sir.
Dispose of these annoying pests. Give them all you got.
Aye, aye, sir. Will comply.
I've got better things to do.
Stop, Mr. Robot!
I don't know how they would have made it work in the story because otherwise it's always Gamma versus someone here, but I think it would have been really funny if they did Amy versus Sonic for Amy's campaign specifically.
Please stop!
Amy? That's one of Eggman's clunkers! Out of my way!
No! He helped me before by letting me escape. This robot is different. You don't need to hurt him, okay?
Amy! Okay, I guess I'll let him go then.
The A carrier's losing altitude.
We're fresh out of time! Take Amy and clear out, fast!
What about you?
I'll nail that Eggman! Can't let him escape!
I knew you would save me, Sonic. You're my hero. You okay? It's dangerous here. Don't pay attention to Eggman anymore. Free yourself. Come on.
Why are you helping me?
I said we'd be friends, and I'm returning your favor. Even this birdie wants you to be free. Eggman's not the kind of man you should work for. Amy, come on, let's get going. Until we meet again, Mr. Robot, take care of yourself. What Sonic is doing. He's always rescuing me, it seems. I should be more independent. You know, you sure surprised me by having a Chaos Emerald with you. No wonder they were after you, my feathered friend. Hey, a pendant! Wow! So I'll help you find your family. Does Eggman have them captive now? I bet he does. So I'll help you find your family. I've come this far. I may as well go all the way. That robot said Dr. Eggman's base is in the Mystic Ruins. So what do you say we check it out?
And they teleport us here immediately, which is one of the few times they actually do that, but I'm not gonna say no. So our main goal right now, as Amy just said, is to head to Eggman's base in the Mystic Ruins, which, as we know from prior playthroughs, is where Final Egg is from Sonic's playthroughs. We need to go to the jungle. But at this point, if we come down here, there's now a raft we can ride on to get back to the egg carrier. I think I brought this up in Sonic's playthrough as a thing you could do. But there's no real reason for you to do that in Sonic's playthrough, at least outside of mission mode, or going for any kind of post-game emblems you could have missed. But Amy does actively have a reason to want to come back here, which we'll see in a few moments. For right now, though, I want to note, this song that's playing right now, I love this song dearly. It doesn't usually play here. I've already mentioned earlier in this LP that I'm using the Sonic Adventure Mod Manager to restore some things to how they looked in the Dreamcast release, because I prefer how they look there over DX, hence why I've been calling this LP Sonic Adventure DX-ish. There are two codes I'm using on top of those mods that are basically on by default. One changes the color of the health bar in the Second Sky Chase to be blue, so it's the Tornado 2 health bar. The other makes it so that song plays on the outside sections of the egg carrier once it has sunk into the ocean like this. There's a lot of codes you can use, like increasing and decreasing gravity, giving yourself all emblems, having everything unlocked by default and all that jazz. It's really neat, but for the purpose of this LP, I'm not really using any of them besides those two because they're on by default, effectively. So at this point, we're back at Hedgehog Hammer. The reason we came back to the egg carrier at this point is that if you beat a score of 3,000 points, we get another upgrade for Amy. This one completely optional, unlike the one we got earlier, but that's just because the one we got earlier is tied to unlocking the door. In my memory, if you've already set the record to above 3,000, you need to beat that record in order to get the upgrade this time around. But I might be confusing that with my first playthrough, where maybe I did the Hedgehog Hammer twice in a row successfully, and it just feels like I always remember having to do it 3 times because of stuff like that. And for doing this, we get the Long Hammer. Take a guess what it does.
Here's the long hammer. Your attack radius is now increased. Try the spin hammer attack.
So pretty straightforward. Our hammer is now longer. The spin attack now actually has range worth a damn, but even your main attacks have their range increases to a point of being pretty useful, honestly. Only issue with its placement is because it's so late in the storyline. You can only really use it during the final level and final boss outside of mission and trial mode stuff. Which, actually, I should probably mention what Amy's, like, B and A mission types are during the main LP, shouldn't I? Let me get a list of those up really quick. As usual, level C is beating a level during the main story. Level B is finishing level with 50 rings or more, and level C is beating a mission under a given time limit dependent on the level. Pretty much the same as Sonic in that regard at the end of the day. Actually, wait, no, thinking about it more. Basically every character except Big has that exact setup. Knuckles is a little different because I think his level B, instead of beating it with certain amounts of rings, is beating it without using any of the red fairies to give you hints. But otherwise, yeah, it's just Big who's radically different. That's just because he's such a different focus to begin with. With that little distraction out of the way, though, let's go after some main plot again. In specific, as I said earlier, our goal is Final Egg at the back of the jungle. That's going to be Amy's final level. In fact, actually thinking about it, let me go do some math really quick. Okay, so what I just went to do there in that very poorly segue jump cut was I went and looked at how long this LP was in terms of edited footage. Then I subtracted the amount of time that cutscenes and the credits took up, because at that point you're no longer playing anyway, and then divide out what remained by the amount of time total in the LP to get at how much of this LP is gameplay versus cutscenes. It's almost directly 50-50 in this campaign, which I think is kind of funny. Obviously, it could go a little bit in either direction because of unoptimal play, or in some cases me going out to talk to NPCs and all that, but that's really funny to me, I won't lie.
I don't remember this bridge. Looks dangerously suspicious. Wanna go?
Said with the energy of when I drag my friends into watching a really shitty movie we know is going to be bad. you know what? I respect it, Amy. Like in Sonic's run, though, in order to actually enter Final Egg of the stage itself, we need to do this little switch puzzle again, which, again, isn't too bad. There are several ways you can solve this. If anything, you're also pretty likely to accidentally solve it just by trying to figure out a solution and pressing random buttons. But that's just because there's only so many buttons you can press, you know?
Not you again!
It's one of the few times they actively start a level with a cutscene like that. Usually if there's a cutscene before or after a level, it's before the level start text like that, and after the stage results, so that's a little weird. Kinda wish they did that a little more often. So Amy's Final Egg goes through a lot of the same notes that Sonic's did. Just because we can't do all the jumps Sonic can, we have some little side paths to take. There's also going to be a lot more lasers for us to jump over, but thankfully because of the high jump Amy has when you run and press the attack button, you should be pretty good. I really like the base mechanic for Amy a lot, honestly, with the hammer. I just wish they did more with it in the game itself. But honestly, both the fandom and officially, Sega themselves have done good stuff with this since in her other appearances in 3D or 2D, largely. Obviously, like Sonic 06, maybe not so much, but like Sonic Advance Trilogy, pretty good there. Sonic Superstars, from my memory, she's pretty okay there. Even with that game's own issues, I still have yet to play it myself, to form my own opinion. Whoa, God, Zero can jump. And when they ported her in Sonic Origins Plus to a lot of the older games, she felt pretty good there. I won't lie, every time Zero jumps through something like that, I was very tempted to either edit in the Mr. X music sting from Resi 2 Remake, or just Nemesis sting stars outright from Resi 3 Original or Remake. The main reason I didn't is I forgot to, just straight up. And at this point, it's already too late. So in this room, we got a bunch of doors we can go through. Only one of them is correct, and I think it's always the same one, but I never remember which door it is for the life of me, so I always just check them one by one. You can thankfully enter the first-person mode here to take a good look around in case you're trying to find out the right path, just to save a little time, but at the same time, it's not like it's super needed, and there's not really much dangerous in here. Like, yeah, there's an enemy in a lot of them, but they're so high out of the way that they're not big of a threat. I feel like if Zero was meant to be here, this would be a little more threatening, but I don't think I've ever seen him in this room if he can even spawn in here. Something I find kind of funny, though, last part, if memory serves, I brought up stage lengths as Amy and how Hot Shelter is like 6 minutes long. That is far and away her longest stage, because even Final Egg here, if you're doing pretty well, you'll be done in about 2 minutes or so. Just kind of weird pacing, although there's this moment here where I constantly just have some minor issues. Because something I haven't mentioned yet when it comes to Amy's control, when you're trying to do the long jump, or the high jump rather, with the hammer, if you don't have the hammer pulled out while running, and you press the hammer button, she'll just stop and use the hammer in place, which means any speed or momentum you had are just completely canceled. So making jumps like that in the few times you actually need to, it could get a little testy if Zero's there following you around, you're just trying to skirt around him like that, as we saw at the very end there. But that's Amy's final level. All we have to do is her final boss, and then we're pretty much done with this entire campaign. And then there'll only be 2 more after that.
That was a close one! I saw no sign of your relatives, Birdie! Oh! You escaped from the egg carrier! So maybe your family's still in there! Let's investigate, wanna?
And thus our final destination is set. We need to head back to the egg carrier. Theoretically, you could save getting the long hammer for now, but I wanted it to actually prove its use a little bit in a main level, so I went out of my way to get it earlier. But just to save a little time, I am going to jump cut our way back here for right now. Damn right, Amy's final boss is Zero himself. Zero, you cannot actively damage on your own. We need to use the arena to our advantage quite literally here. If you knock him into any of the electrical wires surrounding it, you stun him and he pops his lid, and then you can hit a button that's beneath there to actually do damage. Attack-wise, he can go for some swings, he can use a laser to try to hit you outright. As you do damage, he can also fire missiles out at you in ways that are pretty easy to get around. It's not a very hard fight, but I at least enjoy the concept of the fight itself. Also, watch out for the shockwave he does usually every now and then, especially after he gets hit. But thankfully, it has enough of a wind-up where it's pretty easy to dodge. I think the further you get into the fight, he also does it more times in a row. Also, because I don't think I haven't mentioned it yet, Zero's theme kicks ass. This is actually one of my favorite boss themes in the entire series. The guitar is just so damn good. There is one other attack I think I haven't talked about yet. I think they're actually about to do it. They'll spin in place in the center of the arena while shooting their arms out with electric wires. Just jump over it, you're effectively playing jump rope at that point. With that said, because the main body is also electrified, you really can't hit Zero during this towards any of the fences. But at the same time, it doesn't go on super long, so it's not that threatening, which kind of defines the boss fight in general. You can kind of bait him towards the fences in some cases when he's moving towards you for attacks, but you hit him back so far yourself that you don't really need to rely on that in any specific way, if that makes sense. And Zero is finally destroyed, which means Amy's story is done. Let's watch ourselves the ending and then give our final thoughts on the credits as per usual.
Please wake up, Birdie. Are you okay? Can you fly? Whoa! You did it! Now you three can live in peace again! I'm so happy! I'm going to try my best, too! Just watch me! I'll make that Sonic respect me! And by that time, it's gonna be too late! Mwah!
As per usual in this LP, before I get into my thoughts on the campaign, let's talk about Amy's main theme. Her main theme in this game, as well as continuing forward, because they only made this song the once and reused it for years whenever she shows up, is My Sweet Passion. This song was written and composed by Fumie Kumatami, who did a lot of work in the soundtracks for the series, starting with Sonic Adventure, composing a lot of songs especially for this, Adventure 2, Riders, and Secret Rings in specific. Whereas Takahiro Fukada once again did lyrics translations, whereas it's performed by Nikki Gregorov, who also did work for vocals on the oft-forgotten Jetix European Sonic X intro, where that's just them repeating the word Sonic X in various tones. Otherwise, Nikki herself has a lot of other singer and songwriter credits under her name, working with Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, Bette Midler, Joe Jackson, and also did some work for Pokemon along the years. She also has an album, Spark and Glimmer, that apparently came out in 2014. As for the song itself, it's really catchy. I like this one a lot. I wish she got more theme musics moving forward, but she was kind of just stuck with this for the better part of a decade, honestly. Also, it's a song I misheard the lyrics of for years. Growing up, I thought the opening was fire, as they repeat that over and over again. Also heard people say it's like paya, like papaya. But apparently it's baya, which just feels wrong. Amy's campaign frustrates me slightly, I won't lie. Not because it's hard or anything, but because I can see the glimmers of potential that she just never truly gets to reach until like Sonic Frontiers, even in some regards. As I like the being chased mechanic a lot, I just wish she had more unique level design to herself because of it. And I like her platforming enough when she actually gets to do it with things like the high jump, and I wish she got to use her hammer more often with more techniques, maybe more power-ups, so that you could actually do things with her platforming-wise that would be more interesting. Again, the later games like the Advanced Trilogy and Frontiers do a lot more interesting with her because of this. The story itself isn't that remarkable. It's cute, but it's probably, in some regards, technically the least important of the main 6 to the overarching narrative. Because as much as Biggs has his own issues, and oh, trust me, we'll talk about those in the next couple of parts. Weirdly, some information you learn in his campaign directly is more prevalent than what you learn in Amy's. I've made a lot of whispers about this throughout this LP already, but if this game ever gets a remake, I think this campaign in specific probably needs the most overhauling, either to make more important the overarching narrative, or just to make it more interesting to play. Like, even just, like, doubling the amount of stages and giving her more stuff to do with her hammer along the way with unique level design could probably go a long way to make it a much more impactful one. Hell, they could even add a mechanic, maybe with the little birdie, where either you could send them to go press switches for you, or you could maybe have, like, a little grapple tether you could attach to what is now known to be the Chaos Emerald in their necklace, so, like, use as a grappling hook to swing from place to place. That could be neat. Obviously, I'm just, like, spitballing ideas here for what they could do. Not that they probably will, but we'll see if a remake ever happens. Also, I brought up earlier this part that I did the math for how much of Amy's campaign is cutscene versus gameplay. I did not include the credits in that like I mentioned then, and that's for 2 reasons. One, at this point, you're not really playing the campaign on it. You're reflecting on what you did and seeing who worked on it largely. There's a lot of cases where people were not credited and things like this, obviously. But also, that just seems unfair because at that point, since you're no longer in the campaign anymore, it would just make it seem like it's shorter than it actually is. Although I'll actually have to look into some numbers for something as well. Whenever you load a character back up, on the bottom right of the screen, you can actually see how far into their campaign you are, respectively, on a percentage scale. And then they'll actually give you like a little catch-up scene that's from the character's perspective telling you what just happened in their storyline. I know in some character cases, what point in the story represents like what percentage of their campaign, like with Big, I know one in specific I'll bring up when we start his campaign next time. But I'm actually not certain about how those go with Amy's. Honestly, if it breaks down to roughly 50-50, that'd be pretty interesting because it updates every time the game auto-saves. Which largely is after every stage and every major cutscene. If it says now saving in the top right, it's doing it. Surprise, surprise. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 16, we're entering the most contentious of all the campaigns this game has to offer, especially for its reasons for existing with Big the Cat. See you guys then.